Hey everybody, this is the Inside Handoff, episode 8. I am your host, Johnny V, and it is truly a pleasure to be here with you guys, wherever you are listening and or watching from. We got a really great show in store for you guys tonight, and we're early this week. That's right, we're getting this show out to you as early as Wednesday morning, instead of our usual recording Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We're getting this one out early this week. It's gonna be a good show. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about. It's been a really busy week in the NFL. And we got some interesting things to talk about, some weird things to talk about, and a generally unusual thing that happened today that we'll try and figure out what the heck is going on in D-Town. But joining me as always, of course, are my co-hosts. Zach, how you doing tonight?
I'm motivated to get the show going. I think I'm more prepared than usual since I'm the one who made the notes.
That is a very valid point. We weren't supposed to be recording until tomorrow night as usual, but Zach decided to say, "What about tonight?" That snowball just started rolling down the hill. It's like, okay, let's do it tonight then. And here we are. And of course, the third man in our booth, Jer. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing pretty good tonight. Zach just decided to message us and say, hey, let's just record tonight. Why not? And then, all the news in the world decides to drop within the last 4 hours, and it's all of a sudden relevant for us to have a show tonight, more so than tomorrow.
Yeah, we actually have breaking news to talk about tonight, and we'll get into that very shortly. But we're going to kick things off, of course, as is our usual structure. We're going to break the huddle, and this week we're going to start that huddle in Jacksonville, where things are not as rosy as we thought they would. They get a brand new, high-quality college coach in Urban Meyer. They get that first pick in the draft. Pick up, the wonder kid Trevor Lawrence, and then you draft his running mate, his college cohort, Travis Etienne, to run the ball for you. So you pick up two parts of that vaunted offense, and you've got a great coach to call the plays, and everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. Trevor Lawrence is leading the league in turnovers. Travis Etienne didn't even make it out of the preseason without getting hurt, and now Coach Urban Meyer is deciding to do things that you cut rookies for doing. What did you just do, Zach? What is happening? Did he just break everything?
He broke the huddle.
What? Zach, you broke the huddle on us, buddy.
I'm sorry. My screen was freezing, so I tried to fix it and everything backed out. I'm back.
Alright, well, if you were watching us on video, you will have just seen a lovely technical difficulty where we lost Zach for a moment, and if you were in audio, of course, you heard that reaction, but we're not going to start over because, well, why not? Technical issues are going to happen as we go on, and we just need to deal with them, and thankfully it was on Zach's end and not my end, where it would require restarting if something were to happen. Yeah, Urban Meyer has decided to do things that you cut rookies for doing. He is a happily married man with kids and grandkids, whom he was supposed to be spending time with after their game last week. He was in Cleveland. I can't. Did they play in Cleveland or were they in Cincinnati last week?
Cincinnati.
They were in Cincinnati for the Thursday game, and so he stayed in Cleveland with family and was then seen at a club.
It's his own bar, I believe.
Okay, he was at a bar and he's getting a little friendly with someone who's not his wife. Which, don't get me wrong, on the scale of things to do, okay, is what it is. But for a guy who is reportedly already lost the respect of his locker room, what the f*** are you thinking?
I think he's thinking USC.
I mean, it's not very becoming of a head football coach to not only be caught on video at your own bar being
Any bar
danced
for that matter.
upon by other men. Um, Imagine a video of Bill Belichick coming out like that. I mean,
I'm sorry, but just the idea of a video of Bill Belichick in a bar is just like, what? That's Stop the
exactly.
Presses.
Yeah, I remember he told a joke at the combine like 5 years ago, and it just blew everyone's mind. But like I think coaches are held to a higher standard for a reason. More so than college coaches because, and that's the transition you got to make because you're not dealing with 19, 20-year-old kids. I mean, they're still kids. You're dealing with grown men who have firm opinions and beliefs and want a successful football team. And when you are doing everything you can to detract from that, let alone the lack of success on the field, I don't think anybody is, or should I say, has a big problem with the product on the field. And I think we didn't really expect Jacksonville to be world beaters. Yes, they have a fantastic quarterback who's really struggling for a multitude of reasons. But in times like that, when the product the field is not very good, they're going to look elsewhere. And what I mean is the coach needs to be the guiding light for that team. Like, carry the torch. I know these are dark times, but we're going to get through it. And eventually the product on the field improves and everything, the dark days get kind of swept under the rug. Urban Meyer has a thing where he just keeps the spotlight on him, and it's completely detracting from anything on the field. Whether the team's good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. The stories are now about Urban Meyer, not the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know the ownership is not happy with that, and they had the meeting, was it yesterday or this morning, and put out that statement where, he's basically lost trust with everyone in facility, understandably so. And I think it's going to be an uphill climb. I don't know if he can, keep his head in the sand long enough for this to kind of go away, or does he go away? Is that the end game for all this? If the problems just keep mounting, I don't know. Like Zach said, USC is a possibility, but I mean, if he's going to have this stigma follow him, I don't think this story is going away anytime soon. People are going to be watching the product on the field a lot closer now because they're going to have tangible evidence of, okay, is this an even bigger distraction on the field? You've got a football team who doesn't believe in their coach. Is that product going to falter even more this year because of it? Wait and see. Or does it get bad enough that, let's say by week 8, week 9, cons just have had enough of this and, tell Urban Meyer to hit the bricks?
I don't really see Urban fixing this. Like, one, you pointed out, like, the leadership and all those problems that are just accumulating day by day, even hour by hour, I'm sure. But even just on, like, even if this didn't happen, where most of Urban's success is what, Florida, right? With the Tim Tebow team?
That and Ohio State. He won the
Oh, yeah, he
title
did. I
with
guess he
Zeke.
did some. He's never really ran. My point behind that is his offense has never been anything that's unique, if that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? The Tim Tebow offense was pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? They just ran a lot of RPO type stuff. A lot of people were doing that. Going to Ohio State, you got athletes, you got the best of the best. You know what I mean? You just kind of scheme up guys getting open pretty easy because you just have the better athletes. We even when Chip Kelly came in, Chip Kelly brought something a little bit different to the league. You know what I mean? Normally, with even Cliff Kingsbury, he's bringing like a different type of spread offense that he likes to use his quarterback's legs. Like they bring a different type of element. Urban's not bringing that. He's bringing a very his play calling reminds me of Jason Garrett's. It's really, you know what I mean? Like it's not that it's terrible, but it doesn't really bring any excitement, no new elements. So all good defensive coaches can break it down by third quarter. You know what I mean? You got your certain plays that will work, and then that's about it. And so I already think he had that, like against him, and now you add the fact that he's got all these other things that his team. Football is all about, like I shouldn't say all about, but a big part of it is like, will they run through a wall for you? You know what I mean? Will they do those things? If he doesn't have that when he's already gotten problems scheming and he just doesn't have the personnel to begin with, I say Urban Meyer's probably not the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars by the end of this year. I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
The coach, I mean, I think Jared said it best when he said the coach needs to be the standard, of the team, of the franchise. Nobody wants to talk about the coach ever. The coach he's the other guy. He is the puppet master, silently and softly pulling the strings that you don't really talk about. It is once they start getting successful that you start talking about the coach. I mean, really, how many years into the New England dynasty before people started to be really like, this Bill Belichick guy's pretty good, huh? It was all about Tom at first. It was all about the team they were putting on the field. And then you start, watching the coaching and realizing that the system is just sort of plug and playing guys and filling holes that, should be insurmountable to fill, and he's still doing it with guys that, he's picking up at dirt cheap bargain basement. Everybody else thinks they're washed, but here we are. I'm going to make you an MVP, type guy. And Bill did that successfully for over a decade. That's the time you want to be talking about the coach. You want to be talking about the coach's successes. The stuff like that. Like we don't talk about Lombardi because he was in the news. We talk about him because he brought something to the game with that sweep offense. It was new, it was different, it's something you didn't see. I mean, everybody points to the play, you put a seam here and a seam here and you run it through the middle. Nobody was doing that back then. It changed the game. And then you have other coaches who are memorable for moments and the way they spoke and the things that they say. I mean, another good example of that, if you look back in the history of time of some of those older coaches, was the coach of the Chiefs, early Super Bowl era. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Early Super Bowl for the Chiefs?
Yeah, early Super Bowl era for the Chiefs. He took them to the Super Bowl the first time, or both times. I cannot, for the life of me, think of his name right now, and it's bugging the crap out of me. But everybody remembers that play, and you see the Super Bowl highlights, and you keep matriculating the ball down the field. It's the things that you say that you're remembered for. And then there's other coaches who are remembered for their personalities. John Madden, the prime example of that. He was an average coach at best, looking at it, but he was able to get those players to a different level by leading them. Those are the three.
Stram?
Yes, Hank Stram. Those are the types of coaches you want to talk about. And then there's the ones that are just there forever that have the success. Those are your Tom Landrys and your Chuck Knowles. Those guys that are there forever that just continually breed. Not necessarily success, but consistency. Those are the types of things you have in coaches. You don't want the coach to be the guy you're talking about in week 4 because they're getting caught at the bar. Like, nobody should care what the coach does in his off time. There's no camera guy following Bill Belichick around. What does Bill Belichick do on a Wednesday night? Nobody cares. I care about what he does on Sunday. I don't care what he does the rest of the week. But that's the exact opposite of what we have. And add into that, the guy has lost respect of his locker room. That's something that's unsalvageable. We watched that in Philadelphia. You brought up Chip Kelly. We watched that with him. You lose the locker room, you lose the team. You're done. You cannot come back from that. Because it is something that it's so difficult to earn that respect back from the players because a lot of these young guys are grown men, who are off on their own for the first time. There's nobody holding their hand anymore. High school you had your family, in college you had the coaching staff and the teachers and the educational system, and all of those things were still guiding you towards your independence. And by the time you get to the pros, you're a man on your own, and you expect better of him. And
you're not looking up to the coach as this mythical figure anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're all grown men in that room,
mm-hmm.
with one set goal in mind. That's to win.
Exactly. And if the coach doesn't drive that, that respect either through his actions or through his abilities, you can be a bit dramatic if you have success. We're not talking about a coach, but a prime example of that is your Chad Johnsons and your Terrell Owens. They were nothing but media circus. But put them on the field on Sunday and they breed success. You can have one or you can have the other, but you can't have both. And right now, Urban Meyer has both.
It's a culture thing too. If you break that culture in the locker room of wanting to be a successful football team, and all these off the field issues keep appearing, it's just this cloud hanging over. You're not going to be able to teach a winning culture to the players. That element is missing because you're hearing it from a guy that you don't want to hear it from. The same thing with the Browns and Hugh Jackson. They gave up on him and he was out the door by week 4 after their 0-16 season. So you're right. I mean, you can't teach grown men that you are this figurehead they should respect and believe in when you're out doing all this other stuff that they wouldn't do. They're the ones making practice. They're the ones who went home after the game. Didn't even take the flight home with the team.
Yeah, that's certainly super weird.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's a Thursday. It's a Thursday night game, so spending a few days with your family, if you're from that area, that actually makes sense. So that's not.
From what I'm hearing from I've watched things and stuff, and a lot of football players and people that apparently that's not common, man. Even if it's family and stuff like that, that's all off season. When you're in the middle of the grind, you're supposed to go home with the team, especially if you're on a losing streak and stuff. You know what I mean? You're trying to build camaraderie and whatnot. You're not trying to let things just get worse and worse. They're saying, "Coach, where's Coach?" Well, he's got to see family. They're not understanding that. They're 0-4.
I think again that just is a circumstance thing. Yeah.
That's the circumstance he's in though as well. If it's already an uncommon thing, and then if I was a player. And I'm sitting there and I'm 0-4 and I'm getting yelled at because I'm not covering my guy well enough or yada yada yada. And then we're on our flight back and I look around, I'm like, "Where's Coach?" And I get told that this guy is just going to go hang out with his family for a few days while I'm supposed to go bust my ass. Everybody's supposed to be giving more. The coach is 0-4 as well. You know what I mean? It's not just the players that are 0-4. If I was a player, and I'm sure there's a lot like that, that would be inexcusable. For the coach.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, I guess a different way to say it is, I can understand the spending time with your family things. It's a Thursday night game, so you've got a few days off. Yes, you're going to be spending some time watching film, but let's be real, you can watch film anywhere. But you take the flight back with the team, you commiserate, you build that camaraderie, and then if you want to fly back to Cincinnati, spend, Friday and Saturday with your family, who cares? Whatever you want to do, but.
It's a big, insulting thing.
I think you're right.
And that lose as a team, you go back as a team.
And you got a rookie quarterback. You should be spending every minute you can with this guy right now. This guy didn't have a job before this year. Why does he need to go spend time with family? You're in week 4. What are you talking? What is happening here? You don't need to see your family. Almost if you need to see your family so bad, fly them out to wherever you're heading. This doesn't make sense, man. You got a rookie quarterback, like you said earlier, that is leading the league in turnovers. You should be doing everything in your power to make that stop happening. You drafted this guy #1 overall. You're supposed to be turning. This offense is supposed to be something cool to watch. This is everything that's happening is inexcusable. The fact that he's not only is he not putting all the effort in, which is, you know what I mean, that would already be questionable, but he's doing so far the extreme the other way, where he's getting caught doing shenanigans as we will say, somewhere else. Like, that is, I don't understand. I would be so disappointed if I was a fan of Jacksonville. I'm disappointed just in the fan of because I like some players on Jacksonville, and Jacksonville, like, every year seems to be something new. You know what I mean? Every year we seem to look at that team. We see a little bit of promise. We like some players. There's some prospects, whether it's Jalen Ramsey, whether it was, Allen Robinson, and, you can keep going. They had that defense that looked great. Like, and then there's just some kind of BS that's not even the players. It's not even the players that create the BS over and over again. It's management, ownership, some other, and then we just watch this stuff happen. And the fact that they hired a new guy and we're in week 4 and it's happened again is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Terrible.
It's certainly not good. There's definitely a lot of bad things going on in Jacksonville, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's a safe bet that at some point in the near future we're going to be discussing a head coaching search for the Jacksonville Jaguars. How soon that's going to be, your guess is as good as mine. But over/under says wild card weekend, and I'm leaning towards taking the under. So we'll just have to wait and see. And speaking of searching for new players, new coaches, and that carousel, let's talk about it's week 4, and your team has just cut an All-Pro linebacker.
Yeah, I mean,
has Jerry Jones officially reached Alzheimer's? Is that what happened?
Oh no. Okay. If you break it down, it makes sense.
Does it?
Here's the thing. Yes. 2019 All-Pro Jaylen Smith is not 2021 Jaylen Smith. He is another cog in the wheel right now in a linebacking group that doesn't really need him right now. So, okay, he's at 18 tackles in 4 games. He's started 2 games this year. The main reason I think they got rid of him is his contract is anchor on that team, and I don't think he was playing up to what they were going to end up paying him over the next 2 years. I should say 4 years, because it was a 6-year deal. So they cut their ties, which is fine. They're not hurting at the position. Drafted Micah Parsons, and they got Keanu Neal free agency. Neal returns from the COVID list this week. So Jaylen Smith, not even a starter. Why get rid of him just randomly week 4? Because the injury guarantee on his contract, they can't risk him getting hurt and then them just backing the Brinks truck up to his house for nothing. So
they're still paying that in cap, though.
Not as bad. They're only get hit with $16 million in dead money in 2021 and 2022.
That's all. So okay, I got a question. So here's the thing. When you're saying they might be doing the best with what they got, first I'm surprised we didn't hear he was on the trade block. Like, why would I feel like trying to at least acquire a 6th or a 7th round pick for him rather than straight cut him when financially equals the same thing. You know what I mean? I feel like that should have been something they did. Maybe they did, but no one reported it, no one's sense has reported it. So I find that odd. But even if this is the thing, I think this still leans to kind of what we talked in a previous episode before. Your team just spent way too much money. And now, whether this is the better move for the long run because of the situation they're in, the situation they're in shouldn't be this. What like you said, Keanu O'Neal, he was a safety. I don't like most like. I genuinely thought he should move to linebacker. I do it in Madden against Keldar. I've done it multiple times. I like his skill set at linebacker. So the fact that you sign him, move him to linebacker, you already had like Van Der Esch, and you let what's his name's gone now, right? The veteran Sean Lee, but you let him go and draft another linebacker. The thing is, you paid Jaylen, and I'm not even saying that Mike is a wrong draft pick because he's a talented player. We know I've talked to the last episode how much I like that guy. It's just, why did you pay? Like, I just don't know where. Like, where does Dallas know? Do they know where they're going with this? Thankfully, they hit on so many draft picks, so it's like, it's so hard to like. It seems like it's a good problem to have, but it's still not, because whether or not you look at 16 dead cap's not the end of the world, but that's money that you can't spend, and you don't have a player to show for it. So how you can look at it like this way if you want. Now Keanu O'Neal makes another $6 million per year on his salary. You know what I mean? Technically, he doesn't collect that money, but that individual position is costing them that still. You know, wouldn't it see, it's just a risk. Like, I get you don't want to get caught with the injury thing, and that does make sense. But now, once if Keanu O'Neal gets hurt, now you're paying Jaylen Smith to not be the guy to fill his spot for when he gets hurt, or if Van Der Esch gets hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't think letting him go for nothing is the best solution, but it might be. But it's a weird situation. It's very much weird. I've never seen it before. Not that I can remember.
I think
I can't imagine they didn't field balls on him or something. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I think it comes down to greed. I think they wanted more than the market would bear, and he's having a good season. Let's be real. PFF has him ranked as the 11th best linebacker through the first 4 weeks of the season. You know, like, a team would be willing to take a flyer on that, especially one of the ones that are likely to sign him now, because there's no chance he does not pick up a new team before Sunday. I don't think there's any chance.
We need a linebacker. This is perfect.
Like, I don't think I think he's off the market by end of business tomorrow. You know, I think he's moving to his new city, wherever that is. But I don't know. I mean, they kind of hurt themselves, you know. Like, there was no injury concerns this week that I'm aware of, and in week 4 he only played 28 defensive snaps. For a guy
he's gonna be a buck.
Oh God, don't say that. Do they even have the cap space?
He's gonna be a buck, man. He's gonna be a buck. No.
Maybe he'll go to the Chiefs.
I think the Giants got an injured linebacker within the past week or two, so they might be.
The Chiefs need to shake up that defense. Maybe he'll go there.
Yeah, but the Bucs are gonna want inside information on Dallas because they might meet in the playoffs.
Yeah, but they're still cap tight, so I don't think they'll be able to have the cap space to sign him.
Yeah. What do you mean? Dallas owes him the money.
He's still not. You think he's going to sign a 1-year cheapie just to go?
I think it's very much possible. There's not a lot of teams with money. I'm not saying it's I'm not saying it's like a guarantee or something.
I mean, I can understand your logic to take a 1-year cheapie to chase the chip. I guess I can see that. That's not out of the realm of possibilities.
If you perform on that team, you're just going to get paid next year anyways.
I'll grant you that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No one's paying him probably a multi-year deal right now. No one's going to do that till the offseason. So he's just going to get paid a 1 year, whether it's like $1.5 million or $5 million.
I think 2 years is possible because that's what the Dallas term was. That's what they're still paying him. So
I don't think he's going to want it 2 year though. I think it's 1 year to to try to prove that he can get paid again or.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's going to end up somewhere.
It's just my opinion, obviously.
Well, it depends on where he is. I guess if he goes somewhere to chase the chip, it's definitely 1 year. But if he goes to somewhere that's looking to use him as an anchor to try and build around him on the defense, then I imagine it has to be multi-year. Because,
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
If it's somewhere else, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where he lands.
Come on, Broncos.
Broncos did just add a linebacker to their practice squad today.
We
Yesterday.
need one. Jewel's out for the year. We lost ours for our starting linebacker for the season.
Oh, I know. I'm just pointing that at they did add a linebacker to the practice squad, so they are actively looking for linebackers.
It's cool.
All right, let's move on to a bit more current stuff. We when we were going to record last week, there was much more guys to talk about this week, but week 4 is in the books, and there is only one undefeated team still flying, and that is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I'm sure, Chan, wherever you are listening, you are flying pretty high right now with that. So, the question is, I guess, how long do they stay undefeated?
I don't know. Like they got that. This team is talented.
It certainly is. I'm not discounting their talent.
They still got questions on the secondary, though. Byron Murphy looks pretty good. So that's he's making that cornerback position look not so like it's a scary team, but
they've got a meat grinder to go through, though.
I don't know. I actually can't really say anything like negative about it.
They have an extremely tough schedule. I'll say that. Even off the top, they've already gone through 2 teams that are projected to be top tier teams. They already went through Tennessee. They already went through the Rams. Next, they have San Francisco. Then they go to Cleveland. Then they host a cupcake, Houston. Then they host Green Bay. Then it's back to San Francisco. Then it's Carolina. Then it's Seattle. And then the bye. Then they play Chicago, the Rams, the Lions, the Colts, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks to end the season. It's an interesting one, to wonder how long they're going to stay undefeated. And it's not like they've been doing it solid. They haven't been squeaking victories. They have been soundly defeating teams put in front of them. And there's some good ones, too. Like the Rams. I mean, that's a team that, a lot of people projected them to walk that division and walk all the way to the Super Bowl, or close to it. At the very least, the NFC Championship game. And the Cardinals kind of
walk.
Yeah, the Cardinals walked them out the door. It's so I don't know. I mean, we ran through it. Who's the spoiler? Who becomes the one in however many in one? Or do they somehow pull it off, like Chan hopes they will?
I think the Browns and the Cowboys are the 2 probably most interesting teams on that schedule right now. As the Browns, they can keep it together. I think that offense can go shot for shot with them. And we just saw the Cowboys defense absolutely decimate an undefeated Carolina team. I want to see that secondary and what they can do against, Kyler and his dozens of weapons. I think those are probably the 2 I would circle. I don't think there's a challenge in their division anymore. If we would have said the Rams, and we just saw what happened to them. The 49ers aren't a challenge to anybody. Their quarterback can't stay healthy. Their running backs are, they're trotting out corpses right now. Okay, other than Trey Sermon. I mean, So it's just, they've got a cakewalk in the division, which nobody really expected. So I think they're the teams that they play that aren't like their non-division schedule is interesting because we've seen them, just hog walk everybody so far. We've got a really good Browns team with a lights-out defense that's destroying everybody right now. I mean, they can get caught. Same with Dallas. Dallas wasn't able to keep it up enough against the Bucs. So each team has their faults. Arizona exploit those faults. wait and see. Or, does it all catch up to Arizona and somebody figures out, that they've got the key?
I think Arizona's how far Arizona goes. It's obviously not all on this, right? But a lot of it is going to be how well Max Williams continues to perform. If if he continues to be a legitimate weapon, like I don't think he's like Travis Kelce or anything like that, but like he's a real weapon at tight end, I think they're gonna be they're a problem because if he's not that though, they are they're a little limited. Like I know like the offense looks good and everything right now, but it is clicking. Like maybe AJ Green's back to the old AJ Green, but the first 3 weeks, nobody was talking about him. He had a great performance last week, and that's great. Christian
Well, yeah,
Kirk,
the reason that is because you need 4 guys to cover DeAndre Hopkins.
yeah.
AJ Green will always be open.
Christian Kirk's had big weeks, but he's had big weeks since he's came in the league. You know what I mean? He's had a couple big weeks, and then Christian Kirk's disappeared. We're only in week 4. There's plenty of time for him to disappear again. Teams will adjust to what they're doing. That's going to happen. So they have to go through that grind. And like I said, the Max Williams thing, you said, DeAndre is going to get his attention. Kyler can't. He's not going to be running for everything. So the other guys got to keep doing stuff. Right now they're doing stuff, but they're going to have to keep doing it. And there's still a lot more weeks of football to go. What they got? 13 more weeks to play, right? We got the extra week, right? So it's 17 weeks of football. So they got 13 weeks of doing this stuff. The run game is looking decent. I really like the team. I think a lot of it relies on the fact that if, like I said, Max Williams, if he can't do that, then they got to do a lot of finesse type football rather than any of the grinding type stuff because they can't really run those tight end sets that they want to. And not that they run a lot, they barely run them, but if they don't run them at all, I think that will catch up to them. But outside of that, I think they're one of the top contenders in the NFL for the Super Bowl.
I mean, the team is quietly, I don't want to say quietly, but they've very quietly put together a lot of success from a lot of people you didn't expect it from. AJ Green was an afterthought. He was the old man replacement for Larry. Nobody expected him to come out there and actually look good. James Conner was a wash. He was washed up. He wasn't going to do anything, and here he is, back-to-back weeks, multiple touchdowns. Yes, Zach. Yes, you're very smart. So there's been a lot of people that you expected to have okay seasons that are out there having great seasons. So it's a question of how long they can continue to perform at those multiple positions. Obviously Hopkins is going to be Hopkins. He's very much one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL today, easily.
Walking real.
And obviously when you put him on the field, you have to double team him at least, and even that's not usually enough. Like Zach said, if you don't have 4 guys in the area, he's probably still going to make the catch, and even then, even with 4 guys on him, he's still going to somehow come out of that with the ball, and everybody's going to be looking around like, what the just happened? So I don't, it's going to take some time, but somebody's going to solve them. I don't specifically know who it is. I mean, looking at their schedule, there's definitely a lot of great teams up ahead. They have a very tough schedule. They have another meeting with the Rams, and I don't think, yes, the Rams did get their butts handedly whooped to them by the Cardinals, but don't put off the possibility that that's I don't want to say a learning experience, but exactly that. They'll watch this tape and just ship up those mistakes and not make them second time around.
That's a very fair, and to what they didn't really make much mistakes. Like the game plan, I'm sure there's going to be adjustments and stuff like that, but they got to Kyler Murray multiple times because he got away. But if it was just because the dude that made the right play just wasn't athletic enough to finish the play. Mm-hmm. That's all it really was on a lot of and on very key moments where
His
if
name's
this
Kenny
same
Young, and I'm getting to it later.
yes, Kenny Young, exactly. So if that same player though, Kenny Young, was replaced with say Micah Parsons, I don't know if Kyler Murray's making the same plays. And Kenny Young is not a terrible player in any way. He's just not the athlete Micah Parsons is, or Bush is in Tampa Bay, and there's a few others. So like, and we'll see what happens when they play San Francisco and how oh my God, why can I not think of his name? Werner. How he does against it, because he's not quite. He's a pretty good athlete and he's extremely smart. You know what I mean? He's not going to be like Kenny took a. You're going to get into it, but the angles and stuff that Kenny took on some of the things after, those won't be the same against certain other guys. So it's what will Arizona do to adjust to that when guys aren't letting Kyler get the corner, and now they have to earn third downs through the air rather than Kyler just running out around a guy, and now he gets the first down.
Well, you also got Nick Bosa to contend with in the San Francisco game. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's different teams will do it. Like not like the Rams will adjust, and the Rams defense is great and all, but Jared's going to talk to you about Kenny Young couldn't finish. That's a big part of what
it's going to be interesting. I mean, let's be honest. The only people who expect them to run the table are Cardinals fans, because it's nearly impossible to do. Let's be honest. Like it is nearly impossible to run the table. That's why it's only happened once properly. Properly undefeated
no
season.
Eli Manning at the end this time either, so you never know.
That's true, but the fact is there was an Eli Manning at the end of that story. And if you can't beat the final boss, you still get the game over screen. So, it doesn't matter if you perfect run up to the main boss, but if you game over on the main boss, it's still a game over. You got to start again next time. We'll just have to wait and see who specifically does it. I mean, like I said, there's lots of candidates out there. San Francisco, Cleveland, Green Bay, Seattle, the Rams again, Dallas, Seattle again. Those are all candidates that could do it. And could knock off an undefeated Cardinals team. But who knows? I mean, it's not uncommon to slip on a banana peel and get kind of, an inflated head, which is something they haven't done this season. They're not buying their own press, which is, I think, an important thing to do when you are having this kind of success. If you start believing your own hype, then that's it. You're going to get beat by we'll talk about it later. You're going to get beat by the New York Giants or the New York Jets. Trap games are trap games for a reason, and if you start believing your hype, every game becomes a trap game, and when you go in expecting to beat some of those teams, you're the one who's going to come out with the L.
And injuries happen.
Really well, I mean, I feel like that's the one thing. Nobody ever wants to say that word because, you don't want to tempt the football gods. You never want to tempt the football gods by saying the I word. Because that's when one of your guys gets it, and it's like, no, that's not what I wanted. So nobody ever says the I word, but of course it's, the football gods. You could literally slip on a banana peel, metaphorically. It's raining outside, and he slipped on a puddle. And that's it, torn ACL. Could happen to anybody. Step off a curb, torn Achilles. Stranger things have happened.
John Wall.
So exactly like John Wall. We've seen it in other sports. We've seen it in the NFL. So it can happen. Make a big play and celebrate and tear an ACL. We've seen that happen dozens of times in football. But we got one more topic before we break the huddle for good. I don't think there's too much to say here about this one other than, it's memorable story content. Tom Brady went back to Gillette Stadium to play against the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. And, of course, he walked out with the W. I mean, let's be honest. Did anybody expect any differently? I mean, I think we all picked the Pats to lose that game in the pick'em. So I don't think anybody here is surprised. But, I mean, is anybody at all, what's there to talk about this game, really?
I honestly was just more surprised that Bill didn't go for it on fourth down. I really thought that the offense had been playing pretty, it wasn't a great offensive game, but the small plays were going. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It seemed like he was able to find 4 yards whenever he wanted it. He may not have been able to find anything deep, but those are there all day, and that's all they needed. Mac went like 19 completions in a row, was it? I know it wasn't in that moment he was in the 19, but it happened. They were getting what they wanted on the short stuff. I really felt like everybody on the Patriots but Bill Belichick thought they could have got those 2 yards, I believe it was, that they needed. And Bill didn't go for it. And I felt that was really weird that he decided to kick with a guy who apparently had a bum leg. One of his legs are a bum, their kicker on the game. That he decided to go
Oh,
for a deep kick and said like I really thought they could have got like that that Bucks defense was not taking away the short game at all that game. You just needed one completion. Mac was feeling it. Mac was gonna take the shot. So if they decided to blitz him, he was gonna throw the ball to the spot. Like I don't know. I found that really weird. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about this game for.
I mean, it's the tale of, as is so often the case in pro football, it's the tale of one missed play. You know, I mean, a 56-yard field goal is difficult on the best of days. You know, even with the great quarterbacks, great quarterbacks. What the crap am I smoking? Even with the great kickers, 56 yards aren't gimmies. You know, Justin Tucker from beyond 50 is not a gimme. I mean, is he going to make it most of the time? Yeah, but not every time. You know,
Exactly.
you plant a kicker beyond 50 yards, and it's a hope and a prayer. You know, and that's what it comes down to. He missed a 56-yard field goal, and that's the difference, score margin between winning and losing. You know, it's a
56
2-point
yard
game.
field goal in freaking rain. It was
That's another
pouring
huge one.
rain.
Yeah, you
Like
know, I mean,
that was cold.
in rain like that, I don't trust my kicker on an extra point. You
That's
know,
what I mean. I felt like it was more bold going for the kick than it was going for a 4th and 2. Like I know 4th and 2 seems like a risky thing, but I think using your kicker with a bum leg to kick a 56-yard game-winning field goal in pouring
driving
rain
rain. Yeah,
is way more risky than passing the ball or running it. You have a lot of options. It's 4th and 2. He could have done whatever he wanted. He could have just ran it in and go hop and shotgun and just decide what he's doing right there.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that one. The rest of the game kind of went exactly how I thought it could probably go. Tom did some stuff, not a lot. Bill stopped Tom a lot, but didn't really make him look embarrassed or anything. But that final play made no sense to me. Jer, you got an opinion?
all right. So, uh, I'm going to refer to an article written by Alex Kirshner for Slate.com. Split Zone Duo shout out. Um, okay, so here's the thing with Mac Jones. And we knew this coming into the draft, and everything that was written about him and the tape showed, and okay, he is a phenomenal pocket passer, short to intermediate. He's not a guy who's going to throw the ball down the field. That is not what he does well. And this game exposed that for all the bad reasons. He could not move the ball where they needed it to go. His average intended target this game was 5.3 yards downfield. That's not going to beat that Bucks defense. That's not going to put fear into the linebackers. That's not going to win you a football game. You know, you can't be just throwing short and intermediate passes the entire game and not scare the defense to changing looks. They know he's not going to throw it downfield. He threw it downfield one time. He threw exactly one pass more than 20 yards downfield, and it was a pick. So the structure there, they took him out of his comfort zone, immediately made him pay for it. I think that was a big story in that game, because even in the win 2 weeks ago, threw for 250 yards. They were not long passes. He's going to move the ball slowly down the field, and if you can contain that, then you're going to beat the New England Patriots this year. Because they don't have that added on-field threat. Mac Jones, he's just going to chuck the ball 30 yards and get you, a chunk yardage and a first down. He's not that type of quarterback. I think teams are exploiting the flaw in that. Where, yes, he can beat you with short passes, but he can't beat you with long passes. And if you can expose
should have passed it?
Okay. There was a 58% chance. 58% chance to go for it on that specific down and distance where they were on the field. But, I mean, stats said, yes, go for it. Go for the kick. I think in that moment, wouldn't have hurt to go for it and just, even run the ball. Because you anything, just get those yards, because you can't trust your kicker, an injured kicker, to catch in that situation. You put the entire game on him. He's got a bum knee, I think it was, or something, and
on his planting leg, I believe.
Yeah, so I understand why he did it, and yes, everything pointed to going for it in that situation. I mean, yes, you would have left Tom Brady 52 seconds and 2 timeouts, but still, you need to get ahead of him to beat him. Put everything back on him. You can't just, you have to put him on his heels, and I think that was the idea with the kick. Is if you had a healthy kicker, he might have made it, and then you put it back on Tom Brady to march down the field. Which, hey, it's Tom Brady. This, he's perfectly capable of doing that, but you have to put it back on him, and I think Bill Belichick knew that. If anybody knows the ins and outs of Tom Brady, it would be him. And you got to trust your kicker in some situations. I mean, Baltimore trusted their kicker last week. What happened?
I mean, that's a completely different circumstance, though.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a Hall of Fame kicker. There's a difference there.
Well, I mean, regardless of that, it's the difference of circumstance of A, he's healthy. B, it's a positive situation for him as far as environment goes. He's already proven he can kick extremely well in that building. He's not injured, and it's not raining inside a dome.
And there was no time left. You didn't have the ability to do anything but kick the ball, where the Patriots had 52 seconds. If they got the first down, then they could have ran 4 more plays. At the very least, killed the rest of the clock, proceeded to kick a closer field goal. Then Tom has no time left.
Oh,
no matter what happened, if they kick miss, they lose. You don't get the field goal, you lose. You're at a make or break situation. You just chose the choice of kicking rather than, passing or running, and I would have 100% passed or ran there. If it was a video game, if it was a video game, my kicker had a bum leg and it was raining, I would have passed him too. There would be no way I don't.
I mean, if it's a Madden game,
the kicker, because that dude was really close to getting that.
It doinked.
Take that away.
It doinked.
He almost pulled that off.
He was just wide. He wasn't short. He wasn't.
Nick Folk, right? That's what it is.
He didn't. He wasn't wide, super wide. He doinked. He hit the upright, and it went the other way. But I will say this about this game, and this is I don't want to say it's a hot take, but it's a statistical fact. Mac Jones outperformed Tom Brady in that game.
Yeah. I guess. Tom Brady let his boys run, though.
He did, but, I mean, that's the difference of his boys were healthy. Mac Jones would be handing off the ball to their 6th string. We talked about San Francisco running corpses. They're running skeletons in New England.
Didn't they have Damien Harris, or no? Was he not playing?
Very little. He had 2 carries. He had 4 carries and 2 catches. So no, he didn't really play much. It was Brandon Bolden's night, and they didn't really use him very much either, outside of catching balls. So I mean, just he outplayed him. Tom Brady barely had a 50% completion rating. Barely. I don't even know if he actually did. He was 22 of 43. So that's less than 50. Not by much. I think it's like 48 point something.
22, 42. It's just above.
What?
You said 22 for 43, right?
I did. You're right. That'd be just above 50. It's like 50 point something or something. Just barely above 50%. 269 yards. Mac Jones above 75% completion, 31 for 40, 275 with 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady did not throw a touchdown. None.
That's because Antonio Brown dropped the ball, though. That was a beautiful pass. I hate Tom.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. There's no discounting dropped passes, but the fact is, Tom Brady did not throw a touchdown. He had less yards, and he had a far worse completion percentage. The only thing Tom Brady did better than Mac Jones is run the ball. Because Tom had 3 yards, Mac had -1. But I mean, like we talk about. I don't want to go down on this road because it's definitely a topic we'll talk about later, but Tom Brady is not as good as people say he is anymore. He is fast and I'll say this, and it's a hot take. He is fast approaching Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 50 territory. He is getting carried there by the team around him. He is doing the bare minimum necessary to get his team the victory, and the defense and the players are carrying him.
I wouldn't say, so here's the thing. Being a quarterback is, still, there's a lot of mental to it. And the one thing that we won't take away, Tom is a mismatch master, and he's still capable of throwing the ball. So when he recognizes where the ball is supposed to go every time, and he throws it, which means when he's got the talent he has, that's going to just continue to give his team a chance. But I'm also, I'm with you with the I don't think he's as overrated as you're saying. But he's there's no question that if I thought Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert or Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray, there's a bunch of other quarterbacks that I think that offense would look equally or not more scary in for different reasons than what Tom brings. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think Tom's like a bum.
No, neither do I. He's still. I mean, that's why I say he's like Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 50. He'll beat you up here. He'll beat you up here, but he doesn't need to do it with his arm. I'm not saying he doesn't have that skill sets before people start chomping on me like that. I'm saying if push comes to shove and it's quarterback versus quarterback, I'm not picking Tom Brady. But because he's got such a phenomenal team around him, which is Tom has an embarrassment of riches on that team, offense and defense. So it's not. I mean, I dare say Peyton was better because he didn't have that embarrassment on offense. He had the defense that was one of the best of all times, but on offense, I mean, who did he have? He had the Thomases. That was it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there really was nobody else at that point. I mean, he had Julius and he had who?
We had Emmanuel, Demarius. We had.
Well, that's why I said he had the Thomases, Julius and Demarius. And
I think Julius was there for the Super Bowl we won.
No?
Was he?
I don't know. I mean, I know he was there around that time period, so I don't know specifically.
I knew he was there for a Super Bowl, but I can't remember. Maybe it was. Maybe it was.
But I mean, it's.
And we had Decker too.
It's still not the same though. I mean, we're comparing. Can you really compare that to Mike Evans and AB and Gronk and I mean, yes, okay. Fournette and Jones aren't the greatest of great running backs, but they're damn good when they want to be.
Start putting some respect on Fournette's name. Y'all just keep questioning.
Hey! I'm rostering him. I got respect. I respect him. I'm speaking to the general populace. They don't respect him.
James Conner. Told y'all about James Conner.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You guys all thought I was crazy when I drafted him in redraft.
You were just desperate. That's not acting part of your plan.
No comment. I mean, if we want to talk about crazy, I'll point out that I won redraft while still playing Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
I forgot to pull him from my lineup, and I still outscored my opponent by 40.
That's all you do is just mess up and it works out for you. That's all it's about for you. I don't even know why you set lineups. You might as well just forget and you have a better record.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, I'm 3-1 in redraft. I can't really get much better than that. I mean, I could be 4-0, but yeah.
Alrighty, well, I think we're done with the Patriots and.
I do indeed. I think it is now time for us to drop some dynasty dimes, and there aren't really a lot of them to discuss here. As always, it's waiver wire. Who's your waiver guy? Who's your top waiver priority pickup? Tell us who, and redraft or dynasty, because that's an important distinction for how likely their availability is. Who wants to tackle that first?
I'll go first. I think Damien Williams should be the top waiver guy right now. He's going to take over for David Montgomery. And or if you want to quote me, DJ Montgomery, because I want to mess up his name a lot. But he should be taking over for David. David's out for roughly 4 to 5 weeks, I believe I saw. He seemed all right when he took over last week. He's going to get his fair share of touches because whether it's Justin Fields or Andy Dalton, to be honest, I don't think this coaching staff is going to trust the ball being thrown, and it's not because of the quarterback. It's because of that O-line. That O-line is not so bad when they're running, but when they're doing the passing, it's not so good. So
run good, pass bad.
Exactly. So I think they're going to continue to run at a necessity, even if it doesn't go that way. I could totally see him have a game where he has 19 carries for 49 yards, but I could also see him have a game where he's got 19 carries for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. It could go either way because out of necessity, they're giving him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree with that. Jer, who's your waiver pickup?
My waiver pickup for Dynasty specifically, because he's kind of a stash right now, but I'm going to go with Alex Collins, Seattle running back, because there's injury upside for the depth, and there's flex potential because he's in a committee, and Rashad Penny's on IR, and you got Chris Carson ahead of him, who's
likely to end up on IR.
Not reliable.
He does have great stamina or something. I don't know what it is.
There's definitely something missing there. I just don't know what.
So, and right now he's currently averaging 6 points a game. So I think he's a good stash to keep around just in case, because as we've seen, we're already in week 4 and there's a lot of injury upside guys that are coming through. Cordell Patterson, for example. So I think he's a guy nobody's really looking for him right now because he's not the guy yet, but he's the next guy up. So I think for Dynasty right now, he's a good guy to have and hold. And then, you never know, week 7, 8, maybe the guy.
My guy, somebody we've already talked about. Hello, Max Williams. If he can continue to do what he's doing, he's shown he has that sort of rapport building with Kyler in a good fashion. If that continues, he has the potential to be one of the top tight ends out there. I mean, already he's tight end 13, and that's just off of 2 strong performances and 1 week where he did literally nothing. So if he continues on this sort of uprise that he is, he's definitely someone you want to pick up. And he's still fairly young. He's only 27. So, I mean, he's probably still got a good couple years left in the tank at least. So he is definitely, if he builds this rapport with Kyler at this age, then I think there's definitely potential there, both short term and long term. Max Williams is the guy I say run out and pick up.
Gotta feed Snacks Williams.
All right, that is going to not do it for Dynasty Times because there's an entire second topic there that my brain decided to fart all over. We're through 4 weeks. We are through what would traditionally be 1/4 of the season. However, not quite. We have an extra week, but it's still about 1/4 of the way through the season. So it is a very good time to sit here and say, who is your most disappointing fantasy player so far this season? Who wants to lead off this one?
I'll let Jared go.
Robert Woods. He was a stud last year in that offense. And the ball still went around a fair bit, but he was seeing a lot more target share. This year, and Jefferson's a hit, Cooper Kupp is a hit, and Robert Woods just has kind of taken a back seat to everything. I think, and I literally, while we are recording this episode, I just got an update of McVay saying we're going to try and get Woods some more looks in the offense. Well, I think they need to activate that and, actually do it, because Cooper Kupp is a stud right now. Van Jefferson has put up 15 plus points in 2 out of 4 weeks so far. So Robert Woods has just, disappeared almost in that offense, and I think they need to utilize him better. And yeah, not impressed with him so far 4 weeks into the year.
So my disappointment is Kyle Pitts. I still have faith in him long term and all those things, but it would have been nice to at least have one of those boom games, to give me some excitement about, so I can be like, oh well, that's what we're gonna be seeing in the future,
Bump his average up a bit.
I don't even care about fantasy points would be nice, but I'd be more looking in I wanted to see something like a 9 for 12 reception game with over 100 yards, something like that where he was clearly the focal point of the offense and he delivered while being the focal point of the offense. That would be great. At this point, he hasn't shown up that way or really fantasy wise, though he's not a terrible, because he puts up points every week. He hasn't had a absolute dud, but he just doesn't put up anything big, anything to be really happy about. So that's my disappointing dynasty player.
My guy is, and this is going to sound crazy, but he's someone that I actively sought out to acquire in the offseason. Had hopes that he would be the guy right off the jump, be the number one running back, or very close to it. So far this season, I am disappointed with Alvin Kamara. And
crazy,
right? I mean, he's still the number 14 RB, so he's not having a bad season, but it's not as good as it should be. And I think a good part of that problem is not a problem of his creation. It's a problem of the team he's still on. That team, coaches against them are able to game plan much better for him. Because Jameis Winston is still not consistent with the deep ball. So he is still running short to intermediate. And it is very easy for them to sort of clog up the places that AK would get the ball and go. And this past week was extremely worrisome because he didn't catch a single ball. Now, of course, they say that that's just a game planning issue because the Giants covered him up extra well because of an injury and whatever. Those are excuses to me. AK should be having a much better season. He should be feasting more. Hopefully they just, get it in gear, turn it around, and, climb that hill. But I'm disappointed in his performance this year, and he's definitely not...
That Taysom Hill.
Considering what I gave away to get him, it is at least a good chunk of the reason why I say he is disappointing to me, because, let's be honest, it's not that I gave away super duper much, but, with the exception of the first 2 weeks, Hilaire has just looked better the last 2 weeks than AK in the last 2 weeks.
Has Clyde outscored him? Is he the better running
No,
back?
Clyde is 22. That's because he had an extremely soft week 2. But
Clyde had a really bad down week, but he rebounded this past week.
He's definitely rebounded, and he looks to be a much more bigger part of that offense, considering it's sort of like the opposite of what Kamara had this week. Like, yes, Kamara got the ball and he ran the ball really good, but it just, he's not the PPR god he used to be, or has been, or was with Drew Brees, with Jameis so far. Can that change? God, I hope so. But to me, he is the most disappointing fantasy player for me so far this season. All right. That is going to do it for Dynasty Dimes, and it is now time for the 2-minute drill. Now, Zach, you came up with these, so obviously it's not quite as, the same as the usual. They're just questions. So you created them, you thought of them. We'll let you run the show.
I can't see the notes.
You can't see them. All right, so then how about I do it then?
No, I'm pretty sure I got them.
You think you got them?
Who's this year's MVP?
All of this.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can start.
All right, I'm going to go with a very obvious answer. Kyler Murray. So, okay. Let's dial back a little bit. Last year, the Cardinals offense from weeks 1 to 8, the 7th best offense in the NFL. What happens week 9? Kyler hurts his shoulder. Weeks 9 to 17, they are the 26th best offense in the NFL. Just complete implosion of that entire offense. So, is it an outlier? Kyler is the focal point of this offense? Not so much, because right now, with a healthy Kyler Murray 4 weeks in, they are the 4th ranked offense in the NFL. So they're picking right back up where they left off with a healthy Kyler Murray. Now, an example of this past Sunday, 3rd and 16. I think they either got a penalty or something, but they were definitely behind the sticks. Snaps the ball. Kyler gets the ball. He looks left and doesn't find anything, so he decides to run it. Linebacker Kenny Young comes for him. Beats him before the first down marker. And Kyler jukes him out and breaks his ankles for an 18-yard gain on 3rd and 16. It blew my mind. Phenomenal play. You not only, and I joke about Kyler not being able to slide or being an ugly slider. I mean, don't believe me, go watch him. But I thought he was just going to see this guy and just, run out of bounds or slide. And he's like, no, I'm going to dance around this guy and get the first down. And that's exactly what he did. And here's another thing. Not only is Kyler being Kyler, of course, that offensive line is phenomenal right now. 2 Cardinals O-linemen this past week gave up 0 pressures all game. You couldn't ask for better protection. DJ Humphries and Rodney Hudson gave up 0 pressures the whole game. You couldn't get by him for nothing. So I think all of these things combined, let alone the stats that Kyler's putting up, his touchdowns and all that, I think he's probably the consensus MVP going into week 5. I mean, sure, we've still got another 12 weeks to go, but if they were to call it right now, he's definitely the guy because he is such an irreplaceable piece of that offense. And I think that's a key when it comes to being the MVP, most valuable player. You take that guy out of that offense and it just doesn't function the same. Everything falls apart. And as proof with last year, Kyler is that piece in that offense. And when he's firing on all cylinders, as we've seen so far, they're unbeatable this year. So he's the guy, and it's going to take a lot to probably change my mind going forward.
Johnny.
This one's very simple. Ditto what he said. I mean, he broke it down in such a way that I can't. I wasn't going to. Kyler was my pick as well, but everything he just said statistically and with the O-line and all of that, just rewind and replay what he just said.
All right, so my turn. It will be Patrick Mahomes. I still think Patty Mahomes is going to come back and do what Patty Mahomes does. I think last week was an example. I think there's nothing wrong with choosing Kyler Murray. I think betting-wise, Kyler Murray might even be the favorite if you go check odds on places right now.
He is.
Very much so.
Let's see. Patty Mahomes right now, he doesn't. Right now, he's gonna. If Patty just does what he's done before with the same personnel he has, he can do amazing things. At this point, Kyler's done great, and I love the stats that Jared brought up about last season. That's fantastic as well. But I just think that, and like MVP is situational. That's again why Jared brought up the O-line and everything. We still have to see if Christian Kirk and AJ Green and Chase Edmonds and James Conner and Max Williams can all do their part for a 17-game season to allow Kyler to win his MVP. But again, I don't blame him for being a favorite. I don't blame him for you guys picking him because we seen Cam Newton win MVP. And if you looked at his supporting cast in that MVP year, that isn't a cast that you would be like, oh, that's the quarterback getting MVP this season. Yet he did do it. And I don't see, like, you can say maybe the type of run, but there's nothing that Cam Newton in that MVP season could do that Kyler Murray can't do. And Kyler Murray can certainly do some things that Cam Newton can't do. So, yeah, it's I'm sticking with Patty, but you guys had some convincing arguments, that's for sure.
I'm glad I swayed you to my stance.
Yeah, it was all you, John. Honestly, it was how you presented it, to be honest. It wasn't even really the stats themselves. It was the way you put it out there for me, Johnny.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I do.
Kind of...
I spent a lot of time formulating that argument in the hopes of, capturing the audiences in the way that I did.
I love the way you tied it all together.
Seriously though,
this is amazing.
I'll say this about Patty Mahomes, and I don't disagree with you, but I'll say this. It's something that I had kind of noticed a few times in watching him, but it wasn't until a segment on Good Morning Football, which I know you watch as well as I do. He's trying too hard to be highlight reel sometimes. There's a lot of times when he'll throw a no-look pass when he doesn't need to. He'll look the guy off and he's wide open and everybody knows he's throwing the ball to him, but he'll still look him off and throw the no-look pass and then miss it. He's missed a lot of those this year, and there's some of those highlight reel plays that usually he's great for that just aren't going his way anymore. He's chucking up into coverage, and his guys are typically coming down with the ball, and now they're not. The defense is coming down with those balls, and he doesn't need to. That's the problem. Like, I don't want to say he's buying his own hype as this highlight reel guy, but he's trying to do some of those things too often. Like, here we are now. This is his 4th year as the starter.
Yeah.
Here he is in his 4th year as the starter, and by this point, the shtick is old, and defenses know what to look for. The no-look pass isn't as, oh my god, as it was 2.5 years ago. When he was doing this stuff in his first year and his second year, nobody'd ever seen it before. But by this point, it's game plan. You can game plan for the no-look pass now when you couldn't 2 years ago. So it's just not, the stuff that was free passes for him before are being contested now, and he's losing some of them in ways that are detrimental to his team. I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think the Week 3 game is a prime example of that. Some of those things probably cost them the game. There was a couple interceptions. One was on a no-look pass, and another one was on one of those coverage chucks that he usually makes that just didn't go his way.
I just see, like, what's his biggest... Like, first, he's never been a big turnover guy in his entire career.
No.
So, like, I'm not trying to take away from what these are. Everything you pointed out is legitimate. I just don't think this is going to be a thing that's a trend. I think it's more of, like, an anomaly. And when it comes to the things, like, he's not... I have to double check. I wish I had a computer like you guys. But I'm fairly certain he hasn't thrown more than 2 interceptions in a game. So
to this point, I don't think so.
I don't mean this in his career. That might even be in his career, but I'm fairly certain this year. So his bad games are games that, like, if he won, would we really even be calling it that bad of a game?
Oh, for sure.
Know what I mean?
Oh, you're absolutely right.
I think a lot more of the negative on Patty Mahomes right now is, 1, because he's never done this in September, and 2, because his team has a losing record. Because it's not like he hasn't had a stretch where he's thrown a couple, like, a few interceptions over a 4-game stretch and stuff. It's just, like you said, 1, they came off the way they came off. You know what I mean? He did a no-look. That's a pick. So that doesn't look good. 2, they're losing games. And 3, it's in September where he's never done this before. I just think that's more... I think it's just getting more brought out. That now if somehow this record continues, like you say, the what is it? It's oh my god, I can't think of it right now. Like, say like it continues the same way where they're like 2-2 and then 4-4 and 6-6 and 8-8. Then my whole argument falls apart. It doesn't really matter in the end. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think, and I don't know, Kyler Murray would probably still steal the MVP, to be honest. But I just don't think Kyler Murray's struggles are really much struggles more than a couple mistakes happen. He's going to correct those because he's Patrick Mahomes, and he's corrected every other time he's made a couple of mistakes.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that stance at all. I wholeheartedly agree with you that if they win these games, we're not having this conversation. Nobody's pointing out that, the no-look passes are being more readily defended, and some of those unbelievable passes he was making before are being defended is not relevant when you're still winning the games. When you lose those games, then, the big red light starts shining on those interceptions, and turnovers become more prevalently focused on when they, are detrimental to your overall score and your record, and, you shine the big right spotlight on them and you focus on them, and then you start to ask questions that, are hard to answer, and you're absolutely right. I would not be surprised one bit if by week 16, Patty Mahomes is without question the MVP. It's wholeheartedly believable to me, just the same as, I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are still going to win that division. But it just, it's a small sample size that does not look as good compared to other teams doing more with less. Like, I
Eh,
mean,
eh,
who went into the
I
season
agree.
expecting Derek Carr to be on the team with the better record? Nobody.
That's fair, but who expected the Chargers to go for it on like what 4th and 12 or whatever it was to go try to win the game against the Chiefs?
No, you're absolutely
it's
right. They're definitely
well, like
they're.
I mean that play is almost the difference
Mhm.
in this whole conversation, to be honest. Because if that happened right now, the Chiefs are 3-1. The
Mhm.
Chargers aren't. I guess because they just played right. So, but the Chargers don't have their same record, and I don't think we're having this discussion. Like I think I bring up Patrick Mahomes as the MVP, but I don't think you counter really with the counter you did.
No,
Like you
I'm
see the
not. I'm not
opposite.
even so much making a counter to your argument because I do think you're right. And over the course of a season, that yes, this is a low, but he's going to follow it with a peak because he is, from my money, without question, the best quarterback in the NFL today. This is an anomaly and not the norm. I'll say that wholeheartedly. With all my heart, I believe that this is an anomaly for him. Not necessarily that he's buying his hype, but he's trying to be the Patrick Mahomes everyone expects him to be,
I
when
hear you.
in reality he just needs to be Patrick Mahomes. Not every pass needs to be a highlight reel pass because that's just football. Not every pass is going to be a highlight reel pass. When you look for the highlight reel pass instead of because you can, you know, like
I hear you. I hear you. That's fair.
so I think that's a bit more of what I gotta say. But let's move on to our next question. You know what the next one is?
I can't remember it
Okay.
after this. Sorry.
So, you're good. You're good. Like I said, you wrote up the notes on short notice, so it's all good that you don't have them memorized. I kind of touched on this. Your question is: are the Chargers the best team in the AFC West?
Yes, that was it. Uh I'll let Jared go first. I want Jared's opinion.
Okay. Yes, only because Justin Herbert has improved greatly so far this year. Um, and again, that's also because how good the O line is. The Chargers allowed pressure on 29.3% of Herbert's dropbacks this week and only allowed 2 sacks. So, with less pressure, Herbert got the ball out quickly and he didn't commit mistakes when under pressure. And on top of that, the rest of the offense is hitting on all cylinders also. Their run blocking has been fantastic, and they hit a season high of 168 rushing yards. So I think the Chargers' offense is putting the pieces together and they're all fitting. Now, last year, they were in a lot of close games. They just couldn't pull it together. They were a good team. Not everything was fitting. The quarterback play was not all there. The guys couldn't stay healthy. So I think this year everything is just falling in place for them, where everyone is performing at their best, and most everyone is staying healthy on that team right now. So I think right now they are probably, I would say, a top 6 team in the NFL right now. Just because everything is working. Herbert is going to get better each game. He's going to improve, and he's being smarter with the football, and I think that's important. He's not making the same mistakes that he used to. He's not panicking when there's pressure in the pocket and throwing interceptions or throwing it away or just giving up nothing plays. He's a lot smarter with the ball. There's less pressure on him. He's getting better protection. So I think, and the same with Kyler Murray. I think Herbert is kind of the glue that keeps the offense together right now. So everything goes through him, and if he is playing his absolute best football, he's going to bring the rest of that team up with him. So, yeah, I think the Chargers good this year.
I
think. Sorry, you go, Johnny. I want to hear you. Actually, I'd like to hear you go first.
I mean, are the Chargers a good team? Yes. Are the Chargers a great team? Maybe. Are they the best team in the division? No, they're not, because they're still in the division with the Chiefs. And yes, they're struggling, but as Zach pointed out in that last bit when we were talking about Mahomes, it's one gutsy play away from their fortunes being flipped this season. And that makes a huge difference. The difference between 3-1 and 2-2 seems small, but is astronomical. As far as standings go and statistics go, and especially when the rest of the division is off to a hot start. I mean, nobody predicted that going into week 4, the Denver Broncos would be undefeated. Nobody predicted. Not even Zach predicted that, and he's a homer. So, let's, nobody expected the Raiders to be off to the hot start they're off to. They've
roasting the Raiders draft picks.
Exactly, we were roasting the Raiders. Period. On this show, not 2 months ago.
We found a new reason.
Exactly. We spent like half of a show one week just roasting the Raiders because of the things they were doing, and then Derek Carr decided that just win baby is back, and they're making it work so far, and they're actually looking good doing it. They're looking competitive doing it. Nobody expected that. The AFC West, which a lot of people assumed would be a 2-team division, is looking right now like a meat grinder. And nobody expected that. But, as we said, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. They are still one of the best teams in football. They are still one of the best offenses in the game, being led by, I will argue to the teeth, the best player in the league, in Patty Mahomes, and as long as those things remain true, they are still the best team in the AFC West. Now, can the Chargers win the division? Absolutely. Because all it takes is one loss here and one loss there, and, that's the difference between winning a division and losing the division. Those teams still have to meet once more down the road. Is it going to be the same? Quite honestly, I doubt it. I don't think the Chargers have it in them to beat the Chiefs twice, let alone possibly 3 times. So the Chargers are a good team. The Chargers might even be a great team, but they're not the best team in the AFC West when the AFC West holds the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just not. It's just a fact that as long as Patrick Mahomes exists, then the Chargers are not the best team in the division.
It's like the prophet Will Smith once said, it's the Wild Wild West.
It really is this year because the AFC West is a meat grinder somehow, and the NFC West is also a meat grinder.
So, now it's my turn.
Now it's your turn.
The best team in the AFC West is the Denver Broncos. No, I'm kidding. I can't do that.
Now your real pick, please.
Say, he made this topic just for that.
And now your real pick is?
It's the Chiefs. I'm with Johnny. The thing is, now in a head-to-head matchup, as we've seen how it went, it's not really a good matchup for the Chiefs. The Chiefs can win it again because they were so close, like we've mentioned multiple times. But it's actually not a great matchup for the Chiefs. They're not the greatest at covering running backs. Eckler is phenomenal. Their DBs are good, but they're not great. Where the Chargers have a bunch of weapons they can throw at them. But when I was looking at the teams and I was thinking about stuff and I try to compare them when they had to face other teams in the league, I found that I would pick the Chiefs over top of another team. I felt more comfortable, I should say, picking the Chiefs over other teams than I would the Chargers. And a big part of that is the Chargers. I'm fairly certain their run defense is not good at all. If you guys could check out, Jerry, you got PFF. I don't know if you find that real quick, the actual numbers. But I'm fairly certain the Chargers' run D is questionable. Derwin James is a fantastic player. But I'm not really sure how they cover wide receivers. It's more of an effort thing out of them. And I really, we saw what the Chiefs can do against a team like Cleveland. They won. They did it this year. They did it last year. I think they did it this year. Did they lose to Cleveland? No, they came back and won. Yeah. So they beat Cleveland this year. They beat them in the playoffs last year. I don't know if I would bet Cleveland against the Chargers right now. I just don't think throughout the league they're the best matchup. They have a lot of things to work on still. Great, like a very good team, playing well, made some bold decisions that have worked out for them. But overall, I would still put the Chiefs ahead of them. I'm interested to see what their actual run number is, though. Because they're really saying they're allowing some yards against them.
Is this where we play the Jeopardy theme?
Good question, actually.
It's
Apparently, I am an Edge member and not an Elite member, so I don't get the actual team grades. I just get player grades.
Interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's a thing. Okay, whatever. I mean, it doesn't really change your point.
They are
just
overall 12th. That I get from the team.
there you go. They're middle of the pack. I mean, upper middle, but still middle.
I thought it was a little worse than that, to be honest. So, but either way, they're both really good teams. I just feel more comfortable with the Chiefs with what they can do. They can move Chris Jones into the middle or outside, which allows them to either become a pass rushing team or more of a run stopping team. They struggled a little bit with Chris Jones on the end when they played against Baltimore, but that's because Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, and most people can't cover him, let alone a defensive tackle now playing defensive end. But I don't know. I think the Chargers have more question marks than people want to talk about because of how well they're doing right now. But I would take the Chiefs like Johnny.
All right. All right. There's only one more question for this week, and it's, of course, one that we usually ask every week, and that is to give out our What the Fajita award for week 4. So, gentlemen, your week 4 What the Fajita moment. I'm going to go first. That's right.
Go ahead.
I'm using eminent privilege to bat leadoff. My What the Fajita moment is a lightning delay at an indoor stadium? What? Like, Monday Night Football gets delayed for 45 minutes due to a lightning delay at an indoor stadium. Now, I get that there are some parts of the concourse that are open air, but, like, what? Who's out there? Everybody's in their seats getting ready to watch a hotly contested Monday night game. This is a brand new stadium that cost, what, $8 billion? And
they spent $8 billion for the world's biggest lightning rod.
And here we are at an indoor stadium dealing with a lightning delay. Like, I turned this on and my first instinct was, wait, where are they playing? Like, I'm thinking, like, Los Angeles just built this brand new stadium. Las Vegas just built this brand new stadium. What do those two stadiums have in common? They're both indoors. Now, granted, I think they both have, like, the weird retractable roof thing going on. But
yeah, like the Sky Dome.
Yes, like the Sky Dome. Only, more modern. But, like, they're both indoor stadiums. Why the hell are we having a lightning delay? That's my What the Fajita. A lightning delay at an indoor stadium. How NFL?
Yep.
Jared, what's yours?
Mine is the Steelers offense. Google a dumpster fire, and the Steelers offense will come up in the images that you search. Okay. Ben got so beat up that he injured his ribs. That was reported today or yesterday. I think he's cleared to play still, but he's a hurting unit. He's been getting beat up for the past 4 weeks because that O-line is just dreadful. Absolutely awful. He has no time to throw. There's no pocket. There's nothing. I think Ben is definitely on the downward curve of his career. I'll be surprised if he's a quarterback 2 years from now. He's just it's a messy situation. This year the Steelers are 0-5 on fourth down through 4 weeks. Nothing is working on offense for that team.
Whoa! Najee Harris throws his hand in the air and says, "Hey, asshole! Don't forget about me. I'm successful."
Think of how much more productive he would be.
Well,
in a good
okay,
offense.
yes, but he is still the number
He's being
4 ranked
restricted.
running back in the NFL through the first 4 weeks. Thank you very much. That's success. I'll grant you the passing offense sucks. It's garbage. It is everything you've said dumpster fire wise. But let's leave the running game out of this because they are actually successful. Everything else, you're right.
Yes.
Alrighty, so my WTF moment is Javonte Williams' big run when he carried a man 19 yards on his back. 19 yards! What a monster! Dude was a monster. I don't know. I get more hyped with that because I'm a Broncos fan, but I don't care. That's my moment. I was gonna cheat and use the Jaylen Smith news because, like, you know, what the F? But we talked
That's
about
next
it so
week.
much that
That's next week if we don't have any good moments.
But I'm gonna go with Javonte Williams' gigantic run where Marlon Humphrey was trying his best and literally had to give up after 19 yards. Look it up. 19 yards of getting dragged. He gave up and was like, all right, I'm going for the ankles.
I'll grant you, those plays are always amazing. Anytime you get somebody literally carrying other people and plowing through them and breaking tackles and those kinds of plays, they always stick with you. I mean, Taysom Hill, he rumbled in a big one this week.
Well, that was mean,
You know,
too.
that was a mean run. You know,
Yeah,
so you definitely, those ones, they stand with you. They stick with you, especially when they're your guys. It's even better to watch that happen. All right, that's it for the 2-minute drill. Blow the whistle. The game is over. It is now time for your pick'ems. And this week, gentlemen, we did not do good.
Oh yeah,
It was not a good week for us.
we picked New York to lose. And that just,
What had been traditionally an upward trend where each week we were doing at least as good, if not better, than the week before. This is the first week where we have slid backwards. Not as bad as our first week, but I believe this is our... No, it is not, because of one person actually having a good week, better than that. This is our third worst week. So it's actually better than you'd think. It's just, you know, it's the first week where we slide backwards instead of moving forwards. And in a shocker, for the first time this season, the weekly winner is our boy Zach, who picked 12 games correct. Jer and I each tied with 10 games. So Zach picked up 2 points, and Jer and I stayed equal. And that still continues me. I have a 1-point lead still through these weeks. We'll run down the results specifically, what we got right, what we got wrong. Everybody picked Cincinnati. All got that one. Jer was the only one to pick the Washington football team. Everybody picked Buffalo. Zach was the only one to pick Chicago. He picked the dark horse, and it paid off. Everybody picked Dallas. Zach and I picked Indianapolis over Miami. We all picked Cleveland. Like Jer said, we all got the New York games wrong. Nobody picked a New York team to win, so everybody picked NOLA and everybody picked Tennessee, which on paper were the right picks. They were just the wrong ones. Everybody picked Kansas City. This week, Jer was the only one to pick Arizona. Zach was the only one to pick Seattle, and there's where he got his wins on the Chicago and Seattle victories. Everybody picked Baltimore. Everybody picked Green Bay. Everybody picked Tampa Bay. So we almost had a clean sweep in the 4 o'clock and primetime games. However, Jer picked the Raiders to win. Sad face, they did not. That's your difference between tying on the season and not tying on the season there, pal. All right. And is of course
who's leading overall?
I am still up by 1 point over Jer. I think you're still down. I think you're still down 2 or 3. I'll run the numbers again, but you're still down, but it's not far. You're in shouting distance. You are definitely catching up. So, let's move on to picking our winners for Week 5. We'll of course start off with the Thursday matchup. That is the Rams and the Seahawks. I will take the Rams. Zach?
Going Rams. I'm going Rams.
Jer?
Rams. We're going to ram it up Seattle.
Everybody picks. We often pick the Thursday game the same. Next up.
Might be the best Thursday game of the year.
So far, hard to be. I mean, the season opener was good. I mean, the Bucs game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
was that even really Thursday night football though? I mean,
I'll grant you that. But it was the season opener game, so it was, of course, Tampa and Dallas. You have to stack the deck for that one. But it's the best Thursday game since Week 1, bar none. All right, next up we have the New York Jets and the Atlanta Falcons. We'll go in reverse order this time. Jer?
Do I have to watch this game?
No, you just have to pick the winner.
Give me the... give me the Jets.
Wow, you're picking the Jets to go on a run. Zach?
I'm going Falcons. The Jets don't even have Marcus May, I don't believe. They're not winning 2 in a row. Get out of here. Going to London.
Yeah, I'm with Zach on this one. There's no way the Jets are winning 2 in a row.
You're not invited to my Zach Wilson support group.
Zach Wilson's going to need a support group if he stays in the Jets 2 months longer. Packers, Bengals. I am, of course, going to take my guys, the Green Bay Packers. Zach?
I'm going to take the Bengals.
How dare you? Jer?
I really like the Bengals' offense. I think... yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals.
You're all insane. Their defense is not good enough to stop Aaron Rodgers.
There's no Jair. You guys don't got Jair. Your
okay.
quarterbacks are doo-doo.
Oh, okay. Put Aaron Rodgers against Joe Burrow in a gunfight? I'll take Aaron Rodgers, thanks. Detroit hosting Minnesota. Jer?
Minnesota. Detroit's offense is putrid.
Zach?
Yeah, I'm going Minnesota. I don't think they're going to drop the ball twice in a row.
I'm going to agree. Vikings clean sweep there. Apparently I can't type because it is the Broncos hosting the Steelers.
Yes, the Steelers definitely. Not only to cover but to win.
Oh God, this pains me. I'm gonna pick the Broncos.
I'm going Broncos.
Good Lord, I really can't type.
Are they actually playing?
They're playing the Steelers. It's a typo by one letter.
Yeah, Broncos are gonna just embarrass them.
All right, then you've got the Miami Dolphins hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. God, I hate picking them so much, but I'm going to take the Bucs. Zach?
Yeah, Bucs.
Jer?
I mean, I have to pick the Bucs. I mean, Will Fuller's out, and that's just a game changer.
All right, we got the New Orleans Saints hosting the Washington football team. I don't think they're going to choke twice in a row. I'm going to take the Saints. Zach?
I'm gonna take the football team.
Jer?
Wait, where'd you say? Hold on,
I
where'd you say it is? Where'd you say it is?
It's in NOLA.
Oh no, I'll go Saints. They win so much at home. I'm going Saints.
Jer?
I really like the restructured Washington offense. Their little plug and play they've got going on right now, and yeah, I think Washington's gonna pull out the win.
Okay. Philadelphia hosting Carolina. Jer?
Philadelphia's really kind of fallen off the last couple of weeks. I think Carolina rebounds and takes this.
Carolina.
Well, we got a clean sweep then, because I'm taking Big D Darnold to beat up the Eagles. All right, next up, Titans hosting the Jags. There is no way that Derrick Henry is not pissed losing to a New York team that sucks donkeys. He is going to run over every player in teal. Titans. By a lot. Zach?
Yeah, I got Titans.
Jer?
Yeah, the Titans are going to win a close one because Jacksonville is just on fire right now. I mean, they're just firing on all cylinders, and no, Titans are going to absolutely destroy them.
The only thing they're firing is their head coach soon.
There you go.
Next up, we've got New England hosting Houston. I'm going to take New England because Houston is the second biggest dumpster fire in the NFL.
If you had a third-round pick in Dynasty, you better have used it on Davis Mills, because he's a stud. Wait, never mind. No, that's not right. I'm going Patriots.
God damn it.
Jer, are you going to stand by your man and pick Houston?
Davis Mills is absolute garbage. Yeah, it's a mess. Houston is historically bad right now. Their expected points average, I think it was, is the statistic. They had the worst number in 20 years last week. They are the worst. I mean, at least Jacksonville can do something on the field. Like they're not a lifeless corpse that they just wheel out there.
DJ Chark going out is not going to help though.
True. But yeah, the Patriots are going to mangle them.
Yes, they are.
They need to institute the mercy rule. Just end the game in like the third quarter.
End the game now. Just call them out and don't do it.
Spot him a touchdown and call the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we have the Bears hosting the Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders. Zach?
I'm going Bears.
Jer?
I think the Raiders are going to win this one.
All right.
By that I mean they're going to score more points than their opponent.
Thank you. All right, next up we got the Browns hosting the Chargers. This is going to be a good game. I am going to pick the Browns.
I told you, I literally just said that if I had them to play against each other, I'd take the Browns. So
You're going to take the Browns?
What's the time on this one? Is this a 4 o'clock game?
Based on where it is in the schedule, I'm saying yes.
Okay. So based on where the sun is going to be in relation to the moon at that time, and Mercury in retrograde, I'm going to go with... Yeah, the Browns are going to win.
I can't... Sometimes I can't even with you, man. Alright, we got the Giants hosting the Cowboys. I really don't think there's much need for discussion here. Cowboys. Zach?
Giants going 2 in a row. I'm just kidding. Or am I? No, I'm kidding. It's Cowboys.
Jer?
I think the Giants have an okay offense right now. They're not a bad offense. The defense is dumpster, but I mean, the Cowboys are just going to pick them apart, right? The Cowboys are just too good right now. They've got all the momentum in the world, and Giants are not good enough to put up a fight.
Fair enough. All right, we got 30 games remaining. And again, this is going to be a great game. We talked about it earlier a bit. San Francisco hosts Arizona. Jared, we're going to start with you.
San Francisco is having quarterback troubles, running back troubles. Their wide receivers aren't very good outside of Debo. Yeah, Arizona is going to just run all over them.
Zach?
Arizona.
I'm also going to take Arizona, but I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be closer than everybody thinks it is. I think the defense is going to do a better job of keeping Kyler in check, and he's still going to continue what is otherwise a phenomenal MVP campaign, but he's just going to be a little less progressive on his feet. All right, we're now into primetime. Primetime Sunday night. The Buffalo Bills host the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, there's a lot of great games this week.
Can't wait for that Lions game.
I'm going to start this one off, and I am going to pick the Chiefs. I think this is going to be one of those games where they have to check their ego at the door, and they need this win, I think, as much to prove to themselves that they are who they say they are, and they are still one of the best teams in the AFC.
Yeah,
Zach?
I'm going Chiefs.
Jer?
I think it'll be close, only because Buffalo's offense actually, they started slow this year, but they're starting to come around, and Zach Moss is a major part of that. I think the Chiefs are going to win this.
All right, and that brings us to Monday night in prime time, where the Indianapolis...
Waiting all day for this pick? No, wait, that was... Never mind.
And this is the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Baltimore Ravens. I really hope we don't get another lightning delay at an indoor stadium. This one, to me, is a fairly simple pick. I'm going to take the Ravens. I don't trust the Colts to do anything but have somebody get injured.
Yeah, I got Ravens.
And Jer?
Yeah, the Ravens, and I mean, hopefully the Colts coach won't cry when Lamar runs for 100 yards. Like a certain coach whined and complained that he did last week.
Well, I think he whined and complained that he ran when he didn't have to run.
He did have to
Get the
keep
record.
that record going.
You watch your god dang tone.
Player safety.
I don't know where to look. Wherever I look, I think this is the camera. You watch it.
Don't run all over my defense, please. Stop it. It hurts. We're already losing, and we had to put Drew Lock in.
What's the Cowboys' record?
Now, boys, let's play nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for what has been an otherwise amazing episode. We went a little longer than we'd planned to in pre-production, but, well, let's be honest, we always do that. It's been a great night. I hope you guys have enjoyed this 8th episode of the Inside Handoff Football Podcast. You can find us on Facebook.com/The Inside Handoff. You can find us on Twitter at Handoff Inside. You can find us on YouTube. Just search the Inside Handoff Football Podcast and you will find us. And, of course, we are available on all of your favorite pod catchers, Spotify, Apple, blah, 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 blah. Find us wherever you can find us and continue watching us and listening to us every week. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next week. Toodaloo, everybody.